Hello all, this is ThatBigBird. Welcome back to another video where today I am going through my 200 to 300th day in Minecraft Hardcore. I did it all with the piano. Yeah, check out the other videos, those are cool too. Alright. So I started off with this. That's embarrassing. Did you hurt yourself? My sister's fine. I decided to build a whole thing behind this bed place, and yeah, it was kind of weird controlling it with the piano. I didn't waste any time at all. I got to work putting in some flooring because I like nice flooring. I hope you do too. It's mostly gonna be stone. So yeah, day 202, I worked on putting in the walls, and then guess what? The ceiling's crazy, I know. I decided to add in some wood to make it look less weird, and I also did some dirt for farming. 203, I did this. It took so long. I don't know why it took so long to put in these water things. Day 204, I finally was able to start like lighting things up and planting. I used bone meal. I'm a genius. On the other side, I just did seeds because that's easier than other things. Day 205, I collected a bunch of weird food items because I wanted to do the breeding achievement. I never got to it, sorry. I also went to my village place to just restore my pickaxe, you know, just normal stuff. 206, I decided I wanted a bigger tunnel. I found some creepers. They weren't very nice, to be honest. 207, I built this glass elevator guy because I wanted the tunnel to connect to the mountain, and it actually turned out pretty good. Day 208, I finished, and dang, it was looking fine. 209, I made the elevators actually work. I had to steal this because I'm poor, and yeah, they actually worked pretty flawlessly. I also decided that this wouldn't do, and so I got to work making it look nicer. Day 210, I was still doing that. I decided to do stairs on the side of it, because that's cool. And of course, I use lanterns, because gotta flex. 211, I started making this deck area up here. I ended up falling quite a few times. So many times, in fact, that I made these access points. And yeah, I also decided to wrap the deck thing around the mountain. Day 212, I was still doing this. You know, it was a lot of wrapping, you know. 213, I started to dig into the mountainside. It was looking pretty cool, not gonna lie. I also added these glass things here. Those are nice. 214, I got a pretty nice look at the thing. It looks good. I kept on digging into the mountain, and I went to visit some villagers to repair my pickaxe a bit. 215 started with this. I wanted to get rid of some of the flooring because I didn't want to be bonking my head on lanterns, so I did that. Day 216, I started to fill everything in with wood, and yeah, looked better. And then I placed up some nice lanterns. Day 217, I decided to hang a bit of lanterns outside, and looked pretty nice. And then I wanted to dig through the mountain, and of course I couldn't just have stone flooring. 218 had a lot of construction here. I of course went with lanterns. What else? And I started making this bridge. On day 219, the bridge was pretty much done, and I decided that I wanted to move my beacon. Now this was mostly temporary. I just needed it to be placed in like the center of this basin so that I could do some more speedy mining over here, essentially. With the beacon set up, I decided this mountain was going to die, and so I began to destroy it. Day 221, I was mining a bit, and just look at that. Isn't that crazy? I also added some supports to my bridge and some banister thingamabobbers. 222, I finished the bridge, and I just kept on mining, and it was coming along. Yeah. 223, I kept mining at that mountain. I fought some monsters, very, very epic. And I watched the sunset. It's pretty cool from my banister. You can also see the mountain cut from my banister. 224, I made this tower of coal. and I mined it, and it was the most exciting thing I did that day. So yeah. 226, I was still mining, of course, and things were really coming together at this point. 226, I kept on the grind, and I did like pretty much all of it. 227, I went out for a fly to get myself a bunch of sand. I wanted to make a cute little area in all this space that I now have for housing turtles, because turtles are just good. Turtles are just good. 228, I bought some glass from villagers, turned it into glass panes because I'm not that rich, and I started placing. I wanted to have a cool like ring of glass around this. I thought that would be pretty dope. 229, I just did the second layer of glass, and on 230, I had to like I don't know, it was weird. I had to prepare for the third layer of glass by placing these blocks. Day 231, I got to placing the third layer of glass, and yeah. It was all coming together. Day 233, I finished the third layer of glass, and I decided to raise the ceilings up a bit because I didn't want to have my head banging on the lanterns that I was going to place, essentially. The next day, I spent just fixing a lot of imperfections that I found. I wanted everything basically to be stone. Day 234, I spent a lot of time placing these lanterns everywhere. Yeah, I thought that the lanterns would look a lot nicer than torches. And I actually went to go buy some more lanterns because I ran out of them, and I got to break these torches, which was nice. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Beautiful. I also placed lanterns all over this bridge. 235, I placed a bunch more lanterns. It was actually a little bit difficult using the lanterns to light up stuff because they were so high up, if that makes any sense. And then I went off to find myself some turtles. Now, the reason I needed turtles was, of course, to have turtles. And so I forgot iron, and so I actually had to go mine cobblestone with a wooden pickaxe. It was kind of embarrassing. I crafted myself some iron, or I smelted it, and then I collected some seagrass. I bred together some sea turtles. I got myself an egg with my silk touch pickaxe, and then I was out of there, and yeah. Day 236, I got to place down my turtle eggs. I absolutely love how they look, not gonna lie. And I also decided to like make a more seamless transition, or I don't know, a better seam, I suppose, going from my bridge to this area over here, and I thought it looked pretty nice. Day 237, I decided to add like another entry point, basically for like flying with my elytra, and I used the same type of seam. Next, I decided to take down my big beacon because I didn't really need to use it anymore, and this took a little while actually, and it also took more time placing it back, and then it was done. Next, I came across these guys, and I made the executive decision not to get the bad omen effect. And here's a clip just of me jumping off my banister into the water, because that's fun. I went to talk to these guys just so that I can do a bit more trading. I wanted to get some bookshelves, actually, to make my, I don't know, cave area look a little bit nicer. Day 238, I flew in through my new door area, and I placed down all my bookshelves. I thought it would just be nice to have, like, a bit of color in this pretty, like, dark cave area. And I also placed down some more not torches. You know what these things are called. Just for more light, and my eggs were not growing, which was not epic. Day 239, I decided to go in the nether, and of course, while I was in the nether, I got lost on my way to the nether fortress. At the nether fortress, I was just really trying to find myself some wither skeleton skulls, and it was not very successful at all. I killed wither skeletons, I promise, but I didn't get any heads. 240, I kept looking for those skulls, but I couldn't find any, and I just decided to head home, honestly. Pretty lame, I know. Day 241, I decided that I was going to go refight the Ender Dragon, so I got prepared, got some potions, got food, got lots of good stuff. Basically, got everything that I needed to respawn the Ender Dragon. While I was actually heading over to the portal, it started thundering, and I really needed it to thunder so that I could get this weird achievement where I electrocute a villager, It took me a lot of tries to hit the villager for some reason, and it was working, and I eventually just like had to like break away this, and I did it. I got the achievement, and I also lost villagers. Sorry, villagers. On day 242, I went back out to find the Ender portal. I definitely didn't get lost. I eventually found it, and I just hopped right in. Honestly, I was very terrified for this boss fight. I placed down all of the crystals to respawn the guy. This is actually a pretty cool feature of Minecraft, I'm not gonna lie. I actually really like this. And it did the laser beam in the sky, and I was very scared that I was gonna die. I essentially broke all of the pillar things pretty, like, I don't know, not carefully. I just ran up to them and I smacked them, and then I went to smack the dragon. On day 243, I finally killed the dragon. After that, I decided to go through the end portal and find another one of the end island cities. And while I was flying to find one, I flew really high up in the sky and I couldn't see any land, and I thought I was gonna fall into the void and die. It was terrifying, but I realized how high I was, and it was fine. Eventually, I was able to find an end city, and I came here actually to work on another achievement. So this achievement involves just getting like hit really high into the sky using the levitating effect from these guys. And so essentially, I just created like a unblocked path where these guys could just keep on shooting at me and shooting at me until I could get like 40 blocks up, I think is what it was. And then I got the achievement. It was pretty cool. On day 244, I headed back home, and I decided, you know what, let's flex, and I replaced the rim around this like pit thing that I made with a bunch of different ores, and I thought it looked pretty pretty. It actually reminded me a lot of that thing from Minecraft Story Mode, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I decided to make a little room on day 245. Basically, the purpose of this would be to capture zombie villagers. And so I made a little pit for the zombies to fall into, and then that night I went out and I tried to get myself a zombie villager. I could not find one for the life of me, and it was slightly disappointing, not gonna lie. On day 246, I decided, you know what, let's just build a really big tower, and so I began doing that. I just wanted to use like pretty basic materials. I decided to make it like not completely stone with the use of a little bit of netherrack. I thought it would be cool to like layer it. I did 2 blocks of stone brick and then netherrack and then just repeat it. And I thought it looked pretty cool. On day 247, I decided to continue making this tower. I wanted to make it super tall, and it took me a little while to try and land on top of it with my elytra, and eventually I barely made it. And then I just continued working to make this thing as tall as possible. I wanted to hit height limit because I'm just that cool. What can I say? What can I say? And as you can see from here, it actually looks pretty cool. It adds to like the power that I have. On 248, I continued working on this tower, just making it taller essentially, not anything special. I also went out looking for more zombie villagers, didn't find any. On day 249, I went out and I chopped down a bunch of wood. You might be wondering why. Why, Big Bird, are you doing that? I'll tell you why. Because I wanna build nice little houses, and I also went looking for zombie villagers that night. I didn't find any. On day 250, I mined a little bit more wood, and I began using that wood. You see, I wanted to make basically the villagers' living area better, and so the first thing I decided to do was destroy their homes and their crops, and that night I went out looking for more zombie villagers, couldn't find any. On day 251, I continued like getting rid of all the path blocks. I really don't like those, and just essentially destroying the things in their village that I didn't like. Yeah, this was a process. I hate path blocks. I'm sorry. I just don't like them. On day 252, my chest of materials was blown up by a creeper. You know, that was nice, especially with the ravine below it. Don't worry. I got it back safely. But luckily I have good armor. On day 253, I got rid of the path blocks outside of the facility. I kept on fixing all that stuff. On day 254, I finally began building my new shelters for villagers. Basically, I don't think there were enough houses in the village for all the villagers, so I just decided to make like little community living areas, much nicer than the outside living that they had before. So I just started off with this super long house, and I don't know. It's not supposed to look amazing. It's just supposed to be like nice, basic pre-villages update housing, pretty much. I even put in glass because I'm just that fancy, and I don't want my villagers to feel, suffocated inside their house. That would be a shame. I began working on another house for the villagers. This one, I didn't want it to all look exactly the same. This one's more chunky. Day 255, I was still working on it. I decided to go with 2-block tall windows for this one because that's cool. And I also placed all of the roofing as just stone tile. I thought that would be the best for the roofs. And I got rid of the other shelters that I made. They were very crude. I don't like those. And then I began working on a third house. This continued to day 256. This one has like a lot of windows. It's like windows to the floor. I know it's insane. This iron golem got on my way, which was not epic, but I worked around it, and I got the roof done. And then I began working on another building. Another house, believe it or not. I want my villagers to have lots of housing. This one is just very long. I don't know exactly what I was thinking on this one. It's not very, it doesn't make that much sense, but it's long. I also destroyed all these lecterns so that I can make a working area for them instead of them just working on top of each other. On day 257, I finished the roofing for the super long house. Very, very long, very nice. I also destroyed this other villager house that was already in the village, and I didn't want it there. I placed down all of these blocks so that I could start building the working environment, I suppose. I just placed down a bunch of lecterns, and there was a creeper explosion. That was nice. So I continued working on the working area, I suppose you could say. On 258, all of the villagers were there while I was trying to work on it for some reason, because they were trying to do their job, and I was just trying to do mine. And this guy got stuck outside of the gate somehow. Luckily, I was able to get him back in. It was actually a slightly stressful situation, not going to lie. But eventually, he kind of cooperated. I started to work on another separate working area for the cartographers. I just wanted everything to be split up. And I also got some guys stuck outside of this gate again somehow. That night, I continued working on the cartography area. On day 259, it was done. I was kind of running out of materials, though, so it kind of looks like this. I also started working to replace the cobblestone walls with these stone brick walls. I think this looks much nicer, and it was definitely a process doing this. On day 260, I of course got some more villager friends stuck outside the gate. That was nice. I was able to get one in, and then I was able to get this guy in. It was terrifying. I don't like it. He comes in, he goes out, and then he goes back in. I spent a bunch more time working on the fencing. It was a little bit annoying having to break it and place it all back, but I think it was definitely worth it. For the water section, I went with this pole style thing. I thought that looked pretty nice. I wanted to include the water this time. And under the sea, I found this iron golem on day 261. It was kind of sad, honestly. And then I finally was able to finish the wall, and I decided to just try and do a little bit of fishing because I wanted to breed cats. And then on day 262, I was like, that's not smart. And so I just went to go kill fish with my bare hands. And that was much more efficient. And then after doing that, I went to work on the tower some more. And on day 263, I tried to come up with a new strategy for working on the tower. I think this was actually a little bit faster once I got it down. Essentially just doing a pogo stick up of the pattern instead of walking around. And yeah, I got pretty high in the sky. I was able to repeat this pattern next to it, and I think I got it down better. Having my entire inventory filled with the alternating blocks, that really helped because switching between blocks with the keyboard was a little bit difficult because I could only really switch in one direction, which I suppose was kind of my fault. I could have made it easier, but I didn't. Anyways, I worked on the tower a lot. It was looking pretty nice. I jumped down, didn't have my elytra on, but luckily there was water there. And on day 267, you can see like how massive the tower is. It's just insane. And this is even with like it's not like completely finished on one side. That night I got in a little bit more work on the tower, and when I went to go to bed, I was met by this guy, so that was fun. On day 268, I continued working on the tower. Honestly, I had no idea what I was going to put in the tower, or if I was going to put anything in at all. And I fell down, so that was fun. On day 269, I kept on working, and I actually finished the tower on day 269, so that's a good accomplishment for this day. Look at that tower. On day 270, I was like, you know what? Let's try and get wither skeleton skulls again. This time spend a little bit more. And I actually got lost again on my way there, so that was fun. While I was in the nether, I didn't find any skulls really. Not on day 271, or on day 272, or on day 273, where I just decided to go back home. Yeah. Honestly, it didn't work out that well for me, but I did get a piglin buddy, and I decided that I would just build a mob grinder for fun, so I collected the resources to make that. On day 274, I jumped off my balcony, I made some more things for the mob grinder, and I decided that I would build it like right over here. I wanted it to kind of be like a statue of some sort, because mob grinders do look cool if you make like the more intricate ones, and so I decided that that's what I would do. On day 275, I was still working on this. This was actually like very annoying because placing blocks while crouched with the piano was difficult. It was not a good time. But I was able to get the first layer of it done, and then I started to work on basically the underbelly where all the monsters would catch in water. On day 276, I was still working on this. As you can tell, like, the block placing, like, look how slow that is. It's not fun. On day 278, I was still working, placing all those blocks for the base level. I was eventually able to finally get everything working together. And on day 279, I just perfected the water stream so that they would push all the monsters into the center. And I destroyed this nerd pole that I made while building everything. On day 280, I began working on the redstone. This was something. I shouldn't have struggled as much as I did on this. Essentially, my first design, it worked. Essentially, it would power on and off this dispenser that would dispense water, pushing off all the mobs. On day 281, I wanted it to be slower, essentially. I thought that it was going off too often, and so I tried to make it slower. This did not work, and I didn't really realize that, and so I blocked it off, but it wasn't really working, and then this eventually came back to get me later. On day 282, I continued working, making more layers to this mob grinder machine. On day 283, I was still doing this. I kind of was getting a strategy down, sort of. On 285, I was still doing the same thing, believe it or not. It was just a lot of block placing. On day 286, I was finally done with all my layers, and then for the final layer, I just needed to block everything off and hide the light, and so that's what the big thing on the top is. And it was looking pretty cool. On day 287, I actually made the top layer a little bit bigger because I didn't think it was large enough to block out all of the light. And there you go. You can see it. I also found these guys just chilling on this mountainside. So, that was cool. On day 288, you can see it actually working. I thought it was pretty cool. I created this collection area underneath for all of the mob loot to fall into. I placed down all these hoppers for everything to get collected into. And then I decided that it was just activating too often. And so the process of changing the redstone with everything like going on like this was difficult, to say the least. I had to like destroy everything. I made the room larger. Luckily, I had space to do this, so that was nice. And then on day 289, I placed down a bunch of repeaters, and I was able to get it working better, and that made me much happier, much happier. On day 290, you can see it here working a bit, and it looks cool. It looks cool, and especially from like these weird mountains nearby, it's a good sight. On day 291, I found these raid guys. I didn't want to get the bad omen, but my thorns gave me it, so you know, that's nice. I decided that the next best thing to do would, you know, make a little roller coaster, so I got myself some rails and such, and I wanted the roller coaster to kind of go through everything that I built. It might be, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit ugly. I might get rid of it later, but it's just a fun roller coaster. I just went through and I had to power all the rails, which was kind of annoying. The redstone torches next to the trail kind of, I don't like how it looks that much, to be honest. Here's my first test. As you can see, everything is going wonderfully, and then I just forgot to add all the redstone torches. On day 294, I continued working to connect all of the railing system. I wanted the rails to go around the glass area that I built, and so I did just that, and I just placed them along this glass area so that I could look out onto my magnificent expanse. And eventually everything was done, and so here's the run. On day 295, I wanted to add some supports to the railing system just to make it like look a little bit better, so I did that, and I think it helped maybe make it look a little less weird and, I don't know, scrawny. I guess is the way I'd like to describe it. That makes sense. And there it is, kind of cutting through everything. On day 296, I saw this waterfall and I was like, sheesh, you know what would be nice behind this? Gold and iron of many sorts, and I just placed a bunch of treasure back here. I just thought it was like one of those cool like Minecraft hidey holes, you know. That's cool. It's cool. What can I say? And especially at night, you can see like a little bit of glowiness coming out of there. That's pretty cool. On day 297, I decided that I wanted to build like a little house up in the mountain area, because there was this like super nice flat area on this mountain, and it's super high up, and it's just super cool. After this, I went to go get myself some kelp. This would come in use later. And then on day 298, I finished up the house, essentially. And it's pretty barren. I should probably change the floors. Like, looking at them just makes me feel, like, cold. And anyways, I decided that I wanted to build a huge glass elevator, or water shaft elevator, up all the way up my special tower on day 299, and this is what all the kelp was for. Upon reaching the top, I of course forgot to place the water in the hole, and then I misplacing the water, and then I finally got it. Yeah, I placed all the kelp up the hole to make like all the water block source blocks, and then I hit the build limit, and it was good. It's now a shooty up hole, and now it brings me all the way up to the sky, and jumping off of this with an elytra is very nice. I wouldn't recommend it without the elytra though, and it just gives you a perfect view of everything at night. I then went to bed, and when I awoke, it was day 300. I'm really happy with all the building that's gone on. It's just, I think it was best for this 300 day to do quite a bit more building, because the 100 days and 200 days that I've done just didn't really do like any building at all. And yeah, it's nice. I love it, and I'm really happy with this, and I'm planning on doing 1,000 days. I'm going to do 1,000 days, if I don't die. So yeah, please subscribe. Love you all. Peace out.